It's been an
Hello,
honor,
the YouTube.
Jarl Ulfric.
We are this video today. What's the possible builds for the races? The best races in Skyrim, and the worst. I mean by the worst is not necessarily that the races are bad, but there is no point in picking them for their racial abilities.
Who are you?
You would only end up picking them if you are building a character. Alright, first up we're going with an Argonian. Right, it's one of the best races in Skyrim. Now, if you read the book, the strategy guide, it's going to tell you that one of the best builds for this is a rogue, and its starting attributes do fit it, but with the his skin ability, it allows it to be a light armored warrior with a shield and one-handed weapon, and it excels at that build and is one of the fastest ways to increase your blocking with this character because of its his skin ability. There are plenty of other things you could do with this character, but this character is basically an exploration build, and you end up hiding behind a shield is what it's best suited for. The Breton, really, if you're building a summoner, would be the only time that I would pick this character. Great for an anti-mage build with summoning to support it against melee characters. And really, I've only seen one possible archetype that the Breton fits in. It is one of the better ones, but not the best. Definitely not in the bottom 3 of the races. Now, the Dark Elf has multiple builds. I consider it to be in the top 5 of the races for Skyrim, for the fact that it has a 50% resistance to fire starting off. Its racial ability is a flame cloak, a pseudo flame cloak spell. Opens it up for either a melee character, a vampire, and with its ability for stealth and magic, could go with my personal build, which is in a video playlist itself, Jamlin and Faux Chuckle. Now, the High Elf, I may catch a lot of flack for this. I believe it to be one of the worst races in Skyrim. It is in the bottom 3, simply for the fact that if you build a High Elf, you are pretty much stuck with a mage character if you are going to use its abilities at all. If you pick this and do not build a mage, you are really just playing against the character that its abilities and statistics give you, which is why it is in the bottom 3. You pick any school of magic and it does well in it. Moving on. The Imperial. If this is your first time and you're a person that likes to get money, this is the character pick for you. But if you are a seasoned RPG player, this one is one you would gloss over. The racial power that it has is to calm humanoids in the area around you once a day. It's okay in the beginning levels, but once you get leveled up, the effect pretty much becomes useless. And the only thing this character is good for is getting extra money out of containers, which, if you figure out how to play the game and you end up doing any crafting and enchanting, you could make enough money in the first place and the racial ability will not even matter, which places it in the bottom 3. The Khajiit. Now, this character, this race, some people say that unless you go with an unarmed build, that it really isn't any good. But the Night Eye ability, which some people frown upon, is one that can be used multiple times a day and allows you to see in the dark, which is very useful for thieves and assassins. So not only can you make it a no weapon melee character, but you could also have it as an assassin. It's a versatile build. If you are looking for a starting off thief assassin build, the Khajiit is one of the best options you have. It is one of the middle ground characters, and if you do the unarmed build, it is in the top 5 of the races because of its plus 15 to unarmed strikes. The Nord, personally, I dislike the Nord. For one, most Nords in the game are racist. Let's face it. But second of all, their racial power, which is basically fear against weaker enemies, is not that useful, I find, because if the racial power is never used, and there are shouts and spells that are more effective at turning the tide of battle in your favor, which are usable multiple times a day. The only upside this character has is resistance to cold, which a lot of enemies in the game do, so that actually puts it at an upswing. If it did not have that, it would be in my bottom 3. This is a middle tier character, and I would only pick this if you are building a actual character in your mind and creating your own personal storyline. The Orc, one of the best races in the game, extremely versatile. They have no racial ability, which is a downside to them, but their racial power to do double damage and take half damage for 60 seconds proves to be an invaluable ability. Any type of melee build is accentuated with them, and if you build a stealthy assassin with the Orc there and get all relevant perks, you will reach some of the highest damage outputs in the game, and even have the ability to outdamage a Khajiit Brawler, which is one of the highest damage outputs in the game. This is in my top 5 for that reason. So if you're going for a quick warrior build or an assassin build that maxes out its damage, I would pick the Orc. The Red Guard has the ability to regenerate stamina for 60 seconds extremely fast. Makes it a good starting warrior build, and its resistance to poison, helps you against spiders and Falmer. Other than that, its racial ability does not provide a lasting impact on the game. But saying that, the ability to regenerate stamina makes them a character that can power through a lot of intense fights and make it to where they can lay out a bunch of power attacks and then regenerate their stamina to get a way out of being cornered. It is the higher end of the middle ground. The Wood Elf. I do rate this as the second lowest. Actually, the lowest. The second lowest is the Imperial. Based on the fact that the only thing going for it is the fact that it is resistant to poisons and diseases, and their ability to command animals can also be replicated by a spell. Unless you are creating an elf character itself within the dialogue of the game, there is no reason to pick this particular race. Now, I have highlighted the bottom three, what I believe to be the bottom three, which is the Wood Elf, the Imperial, and the High Elf, based on the fact that the High Elf forces you into one character type. The Imperial is only good for the first playthrough, and its abilities have no impact on the game, and the Wood Elf because all of its abilities have little to no impact on the game itself. Now, the top three would have to be the Orc, the Khajiit, and the Argonian, based on the fact that once you get certain perks to accentuate their abilities, the Argonian becomes unkillable, the Nord becomes an unstoppable powerhouse, and the Khajiit can punch anything to death before it ends up being killed. Now, directly after the top three, the other two best characters would have to be a Dark Elf, because it allows you to play a vampire without getting pwned by the random fireball thrown your way from across the map. And the Breton, because it allows you to take down most magic users without being damaged at all, and allows you to create your own personal army. And the bottom two, the two directly above the bottom three, would have to be the Nord and the Red Guard. Hopefully you find this video informative and pick according to the playstyle you wish to be. This is Jester Gnome signing off.